Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I have return favorite Pratt Daddy himself. I'm wearing my crystal, one of the ones you gave me. Welcome back, Spencer Pratt. How are you?
I'm so happy to be back. I saw a lot of, Justin's comments and Chris saying how they were the favorites have returned. And I was like, well, hey guys, you all went on vacation for a little bit and, so there's a little competitive nature. So we got to bring it today. So
we're going to bring it today.
And I keep seeing they're doing really well in the top iTunes. I'm like, oh, we gotta get to number one. Sorry, Mr. Joe Rogan. We're coming for you.
I love it. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. But you see me because you're watching this. But have you subscribed? Have you told a friend? Have you liked it? Have you copied the link and texted it to someone you love or you just feel like being a nice person to? Please do that. It keeps us going. So if you like watching Juicy Scoop here on YouTube, subscribe, like, and share. So I love that you are up on the trial of the century, Johnny versus Amber. We have a lot to cover from the last few days. Oh, by the way, I just realized I have an announcement to make. Guys, June 17th, I will be at the Charles Krug Summer Sessions Blue Note Winery. June 17th, come see me with Justin Martindale. 2 shows, 5:30 and 8:30. Okay, let's get into the trial. First of all, I've been talking about it for several episodes. So let's just begin, and then we'll get into like all the latest witnesses and stuff. But what, at this point, we're recording this Wednesday afternoon, are your thoughts in general about this crazy trial and the relationship of Amber and Johnny?
My first thought is I've never been so jealous of any squatters in my life, and that every time these deposition videos of Amber's little crew of squatters are complaining about whatever, and they're like, well, I was in PH5 and then I went to PH4. I'm like, these people are living in penthouses.
Okay, so let's jump to that.
Rewind.
So for those that are keeping up with it, Amber took the stand. Along with Amber taking the stand, we're also going to cover some of the people that were deposed back in January. So they're watching a video deposition in which both Amber's attorneys and Johnny's attorneys could question them. And they were all her very good friends. And the very good friends got to live in these penthouses that Johnny owned at his invitation, meaning they did not have to pay rent. And at first, you said, I'm jealous of these people. See, and me watching the whole thing, I'm like, God, nothing is for free.
Oh,
Well, I mean, because you look at these people now and they entered into this, oh my God, this is so great. Our friends are Johnny and Amber. We're going to go to Coachella. We get to hang out. We're all such good friends. I'm sure they're kissing his ass. They're kissing her ass, but they're probably kissing his ass a little bit more. And then these contentious fights, which we'll get into. But I was just like, no, it's not worth it. It's completely stressful. It's not a vacation. Pay for your own fucking vacation. Listen, I've been a guest with rich people that don't get along. It's not as fun as you think. You start to put up with it. You're like, okay, I'll go again. And then there comes a time where you're like, you know what? I'm good. I'll pay for my own hotel room.
See, I'm built different. Every time they're talking about like the red wine spilling, I'm like, which bottle? He said he spent $50,000 a month on wine. Why are they spilling the wine?
It is hard to turn down.
Oh, not now in my life.
Yes.
But, rewind, pre-high, I did live, as a squatter at David Foster and Linda Thompson's house during a contentious
and they broke up
divorce
too.
With the fighting. And I managed it pretty well. And, you go in the fridge and the chefs made all the different foods and you get to go and, you go in the wine. I mean, it's totally doable.
Okay.
So I have different experience in it. I, though, would have been the type of friend that, in this little, if you had depositioned me, I would have been the one person, even if I had been a Team Amber person, I would have been like, oh, put me in contempt. I'm going to do 30 days in jail for Johnny and think long term. Imagine if one of her did a switcheroo and was like, flip the script and was like, no, I won't speak on anything to do with Johnny. Johnny would take care of that person, when this is all over. But,
let's talk about these people and who they are. Okay, so the people that they interviewed, there's three people that four including her sister so far. So there is the couple of this guy Josh, and he at one time was a boyfriend, then married to Raquel, and they have since divorced.
And he was he went to culinary school.
He was the chef,
yeah.
So he's the chef. Raquel's the friend that does crafts. I mean, not enough to live.
I couldn't figure out Tillet. Tillet was so weird to me.
The name little I.O.
I don't know. He creeped me out so much. And he's like, Johnny told me he loved me, and I was like, what is going on?
Is he gay?
I couldn't figure that out because he was
at first when he was being interviewed. Now the other friend is I.O. spelled with a little O. I don't understand that. Tillet Ring. And I kind of thought he was like the gay best friend, but that was also kind of a masculine gay and could hang with Johnny. That's what I not that it matters, but that's what I got. Because he's like, the day of the wedding, I was her best man. And I was also like helping Johnny and Johnny's son, who was his best man. And I was going back and forth. And it just made me think you're this friend / like assistant. And like, we're giving you all this free stuff. So you better party till we want to stop partying. If you've ever been a guest, like with a rich person, there's been that little bit of a pressure, like, you better stay up because I'm ready to watch a movie. I'm ready to party. And like, you're the guest and you're, so there's some of that too, where people feel like they have to like be on and then they get in these fights and they have to kind of like diffuse it or be part of it or hope that like the next day we're all good, right? We're all going to Coachella tomorrow, right? We're all like...
What threw me off is he was like, he talked like he had been trained for a deposition in the way and his level of detail. I'm like, how? Because I've lived life, but I don't remember things like I'm typing it in a script. And he's like, and that night he had a heavy pour, and I know heavy pours because I grew up counting people's glass. I'm like, this guy, he was so creepy. He creeped me out. Like, Johnny's lucky this dude didn't just murder him like on like a...
Well, I mean, I respect someone that's doing a huge trial, and if you're going to be deposed, yeah, you should go into your notes and you should kind of go, okay, wait a minute. I remember 2 days later, I got on a plane and it was the day before Thanksgiving. So then that would have been Tuesday, November. Like, get your dates right. You're doing a major deposition with someone to be like, I think it was in or around. Well, come on.
It's years ago, though.
I know, but still, like, do your due diligence. You're going to...
Years ago.
You got deposed. Get your shit together. Okay.
I didn't believe anything that guy was saying. I was like, this. He's
well,
like,
let's talk about some of the...
Amber reached out to me, said I may be deposition. I was like, oh my gosh, these people.
So, I mean, some of the things, let's start with him. So, this I.O., so weird, the name. I don't know that much about him.
So, he was a photographer.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Well, I don't think a photographer.
I mean,
are we all photographers? I don't know that you have to be like an alleged photographer. It's not like you're
I don't know. He shot anything.
Like you're an anesthesiologist.
He has an iPhone. So that's what. And I forgot how they met, but like they saw each other in New York. I don't know. It was so.
So some of the things he said is because he had long conversations. He was very close to him as well. And it seemed like they were all three kind of struggled with the fact that they really did enjoy Johnny as well. He was really charming, obviously very generous. But, I mean, I really do believe all three of their testimony. They all said they never saw him ever get violent with her, but most people don't witness that. Like it's mostly like with couples, it's like, and the girl's like, oh, we got to go home now. And you don't know what's going to happen. So it's like most guys are not whacking their woman in front of people, even But he did
the
say the
level
drinking and
of
alcohol.
drinking and alcohol,
Yeah.
if he was in these blackout rage, you really imagine he's like, hold on, let's wait for these 3 people that I'm paying for that are house squatters to not be here for me to like act out in this violent smacking thing, you know? So like,
So that's the question. It's like, I think we all agree he's a boozer. He does drugs. He uses bad language. He can say nasty shit. He knocks stuff over. But the question is, did he ever punch her with his rings on his finger? Because obviously, first when the trial first started, I'm like, I don't know if I'd have all those rings on that. But then, no, that was a deliberate move to always have all the rings on, because if he's always wearing rings, her face would have been way worse.
And
way
another thing
worse.
before I forget.
Yes.
This whole breaking things. I was saying to Heidi, if I was that rich, I've never broken anything on purpose because I don't have money like that. And it's like, but it's like, I think if I was drunk and that rich, I would just break things all the time too. It's like, that sounds fun. Like, oh, this is, I can break this. Somebody's going to clean that up. Like, that's that rock star energy. And then it's like when Machine Gun Kelly does it with Megan Fox or whatever, they're so cool and sexy. But now all of a sudden we're making it the Johnny's unhinged. It's like, he can break whatever he wants because he has 15 houses that he's living in at once. And it's like, let's leave and go to... So that also threw me off. Like, I don't know, that sounds fun. I was like...
I think he sounds like a nightmare to be in a relationship with. I mean, I think there's a lot of holes to Amber's story, but I definitely think he, like, switched on the dime. I think he was super jealous. Jealous of both men and women because she was bisexual. Would say things, you know, like... about how she got her jobs and that, you know, she doesn't need, this is what they're saying, she doesn't need to work. I don't know why she's auditioning. I can pay for her. Like, not being as encouraging towards her career and like continuing, like the sister said, you know, like when someone is in a relationship with someone like that, providing, you know, this is all true, that they start to change a lot and they get a little smaller and they get a little quieter and that's exactly what her sister said. Like, she lost her joy and spark because in this toxic thing. I think she totally contributed to the toxicity and being horrible. Yes. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, anything out of her sister's mouth. Her sister literally said, it was very rare that I was ever sober. And she... like, once I heard, before they were even engaged, she's like on this jet doing all this cocaine and blacking out on a jet. Like, if I was on a jet. The sister. If I was on a jet with Heidi's sister.
Yeah.
Going to go meet Heidi and we're blacked out together on this jet doing all this coke. Like, Heidi'd be like, what are you. Like, this sister is so suspect to me. And then the best part today on the thing with the sister is. So they have a text message from the sister saying to Johnny or to Johnny, like, it hasn't gone too far. Like, you guys love each other. And then the lawyer was like, but you have said at this point you already knew he hit her. So you're fine with your sister being hit? And she's like, well, I knew what she wanted. And I was like, oh, this is getting...
But I also think the freeloader, sister included...
trying to keep it alive.
You want to keep this going. You want, come on, he's not that bad. Maybe his back was hurting. Maybe this, maybe that. He was upset about that. It was a crazy night. We're jet lagged. Like, they're. And you know what? In the end, they did pay a price because they're still 9 years later having to deal with it. And so it's like,
I don't know. I was watching 11 million views live YouTube. I was like, this is the biggest show ever.
You're so thirsty. They're not.
They are. They're squatters living in Johnny Depp's penthouse doing coke just to get clout. Like, they don't want to be famous. They're going to be able to write a book now. They're going to be able to go on whatever shows are left to where they pay. These people love this. They're like talking about their careers, and I was this. There was not one person that was like, oh, boo-hoo, my deposition is on the biggest trial in the history. Maybe Amber's now burnt out because... you know, she wants to get on with her life, but I will not hear that these people aren't loving it.
Josh, the chef, and the crafty girl, Raquel, who was her former best friend,
Rocky.
And when asked about, she goes by Rocky, and when asked about, are they friends now or best friends now, she was like, well, we're not friends, but we don't keep in touch. And people are like, exactly. Well, you know what? try to be friends with somebody when they're being sued for 50 million and countersuing for 100 million and you're in a deposition for being a freeloader. Like, there's a really good chance that attorneys and everybody were like, you guys got to just stop. Don't talk to each other anymore. And that's probably what happened. Is like, I don't think that her saying we're not close anymore is a reflection of Amber, is what I'm saying. It's a reflection of everything that went down, knowing everything and having it be dragged out legally, which is really scary for the next 8 years. So I just think that. And then she and the husband break up. They're no longer together. Like, it you know, and the fact that he went along with it too, Johnny, with his girl, you know, that's another thing. Johnny, you marry a girl who's bisexual, who's 25 or whatever, 30 years younger than you, and you act like you're into her friends. Oh, we're all going to have fun. We've all been there with a friend who has the older boyfriend, whether he's hot like Johnny Depp or like frickin' Shrek. And you're like, you know, you're so happy to be on get the free food at the nightclub, but like you're not into talking to him, and he's really not into talking to you.
One of the questions I can't believe hasn't been asked, or maybe I've missed it with each one, has been like, was there ever a time where you guys were all in an orgy? You know, like, I want to know if, like, there's swinger action here. Like, did Rocket, like, because that, till it made me think him and Johnny were hooking up, the way he was, like, talking about their long, deep talks. I was like, what? So that's something I am shocked that hasn't been even, you know, for a hearsay or objection.
So some of the things that Tillett said was that he said my mom was cruel. She was viciously violent. He called his mother, Johnny's own mother, he said he was a bitch and a cunt. And he said, I don't need another mother. He said, she's like a leash. I don't want to stop drinking and doing drugs. Being sober is not fun.
He'd been drinking since 12 or something.
Right. And so, you know, but meanwhile, you know, he also called her, she would call him old, but then he would be like, you're soon to be ugly and you're talentless.
And she'd say, suck my dick, Johnny.
She would?
Oh, you didn't hear those recordings?
No, I can't listen to I'm trying.
What do you have a job every day?
No, I think I have so many other things I'm contributing. Well, tell me what else.
Oh,
what
the
other
audio, she's literally...
Well, the audios are awful. Tell me your favorite parts of the audio then that you remember.
I love how scary she is. Like,
okay.
I am going to rewatch Gone Girl this week to like see the level.
Okay, let's talk about Gone Girl for a second, because that's what popped in my head with the bottle rape.
See, I missed that. I saw it on TikTok. See, I didn't realize you could watch this live. I thought you could only watch it on TikToks. So I've been like watching it, and then somebody was like complaining about the person live streaming on TikTok. I'm like, go watch it on YouTube or something. I'm like, this is on YouTube? So once I'm like day 4 into the YouTube stream, it's like all day. I just hate the breaks. Why do they need lunch breaks?
They're so, and it's so hard. Like, I mean, if I had more time, I would do the actual timeline, because it's like there's all the stuff that happened in Australia.
This is the best part. Everything happened in Australia once he brought the post-nuptial agreement. That's when it's like red flag breaking news to me. Like,
oh, so you're saying he brought the post-nup agreement, she got pissed, and that's when the fight started in Australia.
Yeah, that's what cracked everything off.
And is that where the finger was cut?
Yes.
And so he says she threw a bottle. I still say, logistically, throwing a bottle and having the glass shatter and come down like a guillotine on the top of your finger seems very difficult to have happened. It makes more sense that in like getting angry, he accidentally cut part of his finger, because
those bottles fly, those fragments. We're talking a little tip. Like, it's not like he Yakuza'd the finger.
No, it was like the tip of it was sliced off.
He does only drink these Magnums I keep hearing about. That's another thing. So with this alleged, was it one of these Magnum bottles?
Yeah. And in Raquel's testimony, which this is under oath, this is you really don't want to lie about this stuff. But anyway,
I thought that you heard the perjury, those big time lawyers, like in this state, they're not going to try anyone for perjury. So I'm sure the powers.
I don't know. I just think at this point, what would any of these friends gain by not telling the complete truth?
I mean, they're loyal friends.
But I think everything they're saying, it's circumstantial to add to her truth. But none of them are saying that they did see him whack. They're saying, I saw her upset. She cried. The hair was on the ground. Then they're like, do you know her to wear hair extensions? And she's like, I don't know if she wore hair extensions.
Somebody said today they saw him hold her by the hair and like slapping her. I forget who that.
So there is one person, because I feel like every single person has testified to say, I never actually saw it, but I heard yelling. I've seen a disarrayed house. I've seen, the drunkenness. I've heard him say awful things about her. Like the Tillett guy said, right after they got married, he jokingly said, well, she's my wife now, so
punch her in the face.
I can punch her in the face and no one can say anything about it. It's such like a weird thing and a weird joke. But
here's the thing that I also would love them to ask, because I've heard of, there are people that have very violent sex type things. And so that's another thing as a lawyer, be like, did you and Johnny, like we haven't heard about their sex life. Was your sex life, would you say intense, like physical, like maybe she's choking them, beating, like if they created this environment where when they have sex, they're like beating each other up. Now when they're blacked out, or this is how they, that's another, like are they Julia Fox
maybe they're not
you're famous.
Maybe they're not asking that because there might be a little bit of that, and it wants to be like, no, I never ever touched her, not in fun sexual ways and not in an angry way. So but getting to the Gone Girl thing, for those, if you remember the movie, in the movie, I read the book too, but I don't know if this was in the book, and I was going to look, when did the movie come out? I think the book came out. The book came out. Can you just look out when the book came out? Because I know the movie would have come out after this quote-unquote Australian incident. But in it, the girl, fakes her own kidnapping and then claims that this guy... 2012 is when the book came out.
That's before Australia, right?
So that's before Australia. And the girl who's pretending to have her to fake her own kidnapping to get her cheating husband back, she finally is with this guy that she like pursued, very much like Sherry Papini almost, and she ends up killing him. And now she's like, now I got to stop this charade. So she takes a bottle and she kind of like shoves it up herself so it would look like she was raped. It would look, there'd be some tearing, there would be some force. So then she calls the police, save me, I finally set myself free. He attacked me and I, managed to get away. So when she goes to the hospital, she could say, he raped me, this and that.
So what's interesting that to connect to that, the only reason now she's saying this happened is because the defamation case, she connected herself to a sexual assault with the ACLU piece.
Right.
So now, to not be defamed, she needs to say, well, this happened.
Double down.
And then she's saying, well, why didn't this happen? I was trying to protect. Oh, you're trying to protect him while you're trying to get a restraining order, get your money. I'm saying allegedly.
Right.
Like, I don't know. But I just feel like it's, again, coincidental that she, back to maybe it's the Gone Girl idea, like, oh, I'll say this happened to me. Now that covers me from the defamation.
I mean, there's a lot of inconsistency. She's constantly crying and telling her traumatic story right to the jury.
Pinching the weirdest when she's like pulling out her eyelid. I keep seeing on TikTok that like people are saying to like try to get it so she cries, and people are like, do you not know you're on camera like the whole time? But she'll like pull out her eyelid like far. I'm like, dang, like could be like a nervous tick, but dang.
And then this part was interesting. Her attorney says, and Johnny has never looked at you once during this trial. Why do you think that? And she said, because I survived. I survived.
He knows I'm telling the truth.
Yes. And then his attorney, Vasquez, says, you know why he doesn't look you in the eye, because the last time you ever were together, he said, I will never look you in the eye again. And when I first heard that part without hearing the preface to it, I was like, I think that's weird that he's like not looking at her. But now I'm like, in a situation like this, everything is up for analyzing and you can't do right. There's been times where people of victims of rape or domestic violence are sitting on the stand and they're like, and the guy on the stand for going away to murder is looking at them. And it's like, oh, he's trying to intimidate them. He's trying to stare at them. So if he would be looking at her in the eye, somebody could say, yeah, he's trying to intimidate her, break her down, scare her. So his like discipline of like, I will never look at you again. I will never look at you in the eye again. You know, it's sort of torturing her as well. But it's like, I'm like, why would you ever, you know, it's interesting that her people brought that up. And then in the end, it like made her look bad.
One of my favorite lines so far, things that I've seen with this trial, was the biggest drama, I thought, when her sister was like, and then Johnny brought in his stylist and made Amber wear, it was very Kanye vibes, made her wear. And I'm thinking, Johnny Depp's stylist is probably God knows how much money. These outfits are God knows. It's not like he just was like, oh, we need to get you in your, you know, bootleg outfits. But this is like so dramatic. Like, he wouldn't let her. It's like, well, he's.
What was she saying? He wouldn't let her wear what she wanted to wear?
Yeah, and they shared this stylist. So it's not like, obviously he trusts this. You know, I can't comprehend how much this stylist costs for Johnny Depp. And this is like, here's the best fashion probably in the world. And her sister's like, and she did this to her. And Heidi like walks by and she's like, is this real? I'm like,
wait, she did what to her?
Made her have this stylist.
Oh,
this was like,
well, and then remember her assistant from early in the trial said like, I would have to get all these free clothes for her by saying she's Johnny Depp's girlfriend before they were married. Well, speaking of the stylist, okay, so of style, one of the stories of abuse, she said, is that he kicked her in the back and put his boot on her back. And then that night she goes to, let me find it. She goes to an event, his event. And they said, the attorney said, isn't this where he kicked you in the back? Isn't this the day and everything? Do you see any bruises there? No, there's no bruises there. She said when, you know, her nose at the Met was, you know, she covered all with makeup. Well, her nose looks absolutely perfect at the Met.
I love everyone in the comment section on TikTok talking about like when their nose is injured and they're like, well, the next day the swelling had gone down. She said it's like that next day it's the worst swelling.
Right, exactly.
And you're not covering like a nose injury. My favorite is now that she has breathing problems. You know,
oh, she said that too? Breathing. And then she talks about her makeup kit and she calls it, this is my bruise kit. So, because there's a lot of controversy going, did she create the bruises with makeup or was she in fact covering the bruises with makeup?
And then I love that one company was like, that company's like, that makeup wasn't even out in this year. But they were like, well, it could have been a different blah, blah, blah. So, it's so entertaining.
So this was really interesting. Jason Momoa filmed something.
He's even on doing TikTok flip screen. This is why I can't be famous. These got A-listers doing split screens.
So this was brought to me. It has 74,000 likes, and it's Jason Momoa watching the trial. But the person that put it up, I don't know if it was Jason's Momoa's TikTok or what this is.
Oh, please hit play.
I hope it's not.
It can't be.
I hope it's not a manipulated thing and this isn't real. But basically, it's interesting.
Definitely fake.
Can you look this up?
There's no way.
Yeah, TikTok. If it was actually
no, if Jason Momoa actually is watching the trial saying things, or did they take him talking about something else and put it up against that? I think so, maybe.
It's fake.
Because I'm like, why would he get involved when he's got Aquaman coming out?
There was that source quote, and I don't know if that's true, but Kevin Costner, I guess, told sources or whatever. I don't know the timeline. Did you see that piece where he said like, oh yeah, she was so upset, but like the day her divorce filed, she walks into my trailer butt naked, or there was that. I was like, oh.
Wait, he wrote that, or where did that come from?
Sources say that he was telling people this happened.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah. When they did that film. So
here she was wearing this very similar outfit to what was this movie, Austin?
Jason Momoa actually called her Amber Turd and like mocked her.
Wow.
I mean, I'll tell you what this is, whether it's true or not. It's
Can you
him.
hit play? Do we get to watch it?
No, I just screen grabbed it, but it's like it's him watching it and him being like very much on Johnny's side. Commenting when there were holes in her story, when the attorney was like catching her in lies. And that's very interesting because they're in Aquaman 1 and 2 together. So if that's in fact true, then, you know, he's obviously on Johnny's side.
I would say for Amber, and I'm so superficial, obviously, but I would have my best fashion, like not the Austin Powers look. I would come full hair and makeup. I know she's trying to like look like, not look
conservative
and victim energy.
Yeah.
But this is the audition of the lifetime. Like I would be coming like there was the Met Gala on this. I mean,
the other part is, the story of other abuses is like, and I was sitting on the couch and then I was on the ground and people are like that. This story doesn't totally follow. The other side of it is like victims of abuse. You don't have every detail. Like it was a really traumatic thing. Like you might think that the car was brown when in fact it was actually white that kidnapped you. Like you actually can get really major things wrong. So I'm just saying, I definitely think they had some wicked traumatic fights. I definitely think she took some of the bad incidences and realized this relationship isn't going to last. This is what I think. I'm analyzing it right now. I think that they had a wicked relationship. I think he did say cruel and mean things to her. I think she said cruel and mean things to her. I think they like hit each other. They got into it. They used drugs and alcohol together. But there were some moments when it went a little harsh. Like either he pushed her or something, or even like, he didn't mean to. Like the door incident is that he like opened the door and she said,
scratched her toes.
How your toes get on the bottom and you're like, fuck, motherfucker, like I'm right here. And then she like pushed the thing back and that's where he's like, and it hit my head.
No, so like he says the door hit his head. That was maybe an accident. But then he says, but you then punched me in the jaw.
Afterwards,
that wasn't an accident.
Right. And she's like, well, I'm finally like fighting back to defend myself. So I think then when she realized like where this was going, then she kind of went with the stories.
How's he recording her all the time?
They both recorded each other.
I know. What are they using? Voice memo? Are they wired up? Like, what's this? That's the best part. They got to a stage where they're both like in these scenes, like they're both like detectives, like 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, they both knowing,
like this is
both knowing that it's bad. It's like.
I hope they make
like Chris
the Johnny, the Pam Anderson like movie series, but like of them trying to like narc each other and like wiring up and like I'll get him tonight, I'll get her tonight. But it's so
he and then he wrote, he'd write this awful stuff on the, scratchy
what if those were
writing,
just the squatters just framing him?
Why be a fraud? All is such bullshit. He wrote like on the furniture, like scratched it in the furniture. She said she talked about the poo, and she said Boo the little puppy got high
off his weed.
So Boo the puppy right before Coachella.
That would be diarrhea, though. Actually, that's what they should have brought a doctor in. Here's how he blew it. If he really, I was saying to Heidi,
he should have taken it in a box.
He should have would have videoed. Putting it in the thing, gone straight to the expert in poo, whoever's like human versus dog, and the Velasquez would have been like, excuse me, actually, Dr. So-and-so says this was human fecal matter. Bah.
But with all these fights going back and forth and everything, I think that in the same defense of why didn't you box up that shit if you really felt it and bring it to a lab, it's the same reason of like, why didn't you make a police report or get medical help when he may allegedly had hit you across the face? Because a lot of people don't. And like, if it's true, if she's like, this is just part of our weird dynamic and he'll get over it. And if he was only sober and like, we have this big thing coming up, but I've got the 8 people that I'm treating to Coachella, like, let me just put some ice on it and move on. But then now that we're here, I'm going to recall every awful, shitty thing you did. Even though at the time, like, I didn't call the police and this and that. Because you're thinking this is your spouse forever. You're thinking this is some bad shit that went down, no pun intended, whether she shit or he. So I don't think he thought when the shit happened, I think he thought it was another crazy, awful thing she did. But I don't think he was totally done with her at that point. Otherwise, he would have boxed up the shit and took it to the lab.
And then in his defense on the theory, I have 4 dogs that shit everywhere. They've never shit in the bed. Maybe they have or haven't eaten weed. I don't know. But They're little dogs. That looked pretty big for a little dog. So, you know.
I think little dogs only shit on a bed if you put them on the bed and it's too high for them to get down. That was the time it happened to me.
There were stairs, but they said that one dog couldn't go up the stairs, but a dog could go down the stairs.
I think
I've never wanted to be a lawyer so much.
She has said to someone else, I can't know who, said, "Oh, I did a prank and the prank went wrong." So I do think it was her poo for sure, and she did plant it there, and then they just tried to blame it on the dog.
It's so amazing.
And then to make a dog a drug addict, that's like, that wasn't fair. Yeah, that's not fair.
That dog didn't need that.
His name is Boo.
What else?
They did a lot. So, they all were doing lots of drugs.
Did you do those notes?
I did. God. There was just so much. I just want to make sure I get everything.
Who's that guy she's arguing there was tweeting about that this was all framed, and then she called him, you'll always come up short, just like you are short. Or who is that guy that was like tweeting about how this was all an elaborate framing, da-da-da-da.
Wait, what are you talking about? Whose side were they on?
On Johnny's side today, and like there were some tweets that she...
I don't know. She'll look it up. But, yeah, so they never... So then, let me see. That we talked about the hair extensions with it being pulled out of the hair, out of the head. I looked at that photo. I don't know about that. I don't know if she pulled her own hair out. I don't know how... Pulling hair out of someone's head is really hard, but I'm not an expert on it. But that one, I'm a little suspect of that story.
You know what I was suspect about? James Franco walking in that elevator like he was Jason Bourne. Because her whole theory or her whole statement is he was coming to comfort me. Da, da, da.
I'd run out of friends. Yeah.
But the way he got in that elevator to not be seen on the camera and like backed in and like so you didn't see his face, that looked like somebody who's already, in my personal opinion, look like somebody's already having this affair and they've been sneaking around, not just like, I'm going to hit up my neighbor and tell him to come out. He'd walk into the elevator and see her and be like, oh my gosh, what happened? Not like we've been interacting. That type of behavior looks like plotting. Did you see how he walked in the elevator?
Yes. But I also think, like, what does it matter if she was really... if they weren't together anymore, like, wasn't the James Franco after they had already broken up?
That was like the night they, I guess, filed for divorce or whatever, and she just changed his locks on him. It's like the night up.
So, I know, but I still feel like to the jury, what does it matter? What does it matter that she's a cheater? That makes her less of a domestic violence victim? I'm just saying, like, if I was her attorney, I'd be like saying,
honesty.
What does that
matter?
Okay.
Truth. Cheaters are liars.
Yeah, but maybe you want it, like, the thing would be like, she's been in an awful relationship for a really long time. Maybe she just wants somebody kind of sweet. What about the threesomes?
Wait. The sweet guy that already has his own alleged sexual assault and like
James Franco, you're right.
Super sweet guy, like.
What about...
what if he's just in on this? It's a full-on movie, and they're like, we can get $20 million out of Johnny, and he's orchestrating
the threesomes with Elon and Kara, whatever her name is.
I just really hope we get Elon in this freaking trial, and then who cares about Twitter? Like, let's just... Why wouldn't they bring him in?
But
because you heard that he was the one writing those checks for $500,000 in her name, and she never gave any of that money that she was supposed to give.
$7 million.
She never gave any of it. This is my favorite quote. She said, "I've pledged it." Well, lady, I've pledged a lot too. Like,
right.
That's my new favorite line. I've pledged it. Like, yeah, one day maybe, but that's a boyfriend who will just front $500K at a pub.
They did note that the jurors looked bored. Unfortunately, they're sick of being in this room for a month. I'm like, how are you bored? This is the juiciest shit ever.
$50 million. So how does this is just going to bankrupt her, or is she just going to file for bankruptcy if he wins?
I've been saying my prediction from the start. I think they will just say, we side with Johnny Depp, but we award no money. So his name will now be clear. He'll actually have a thing that he won, but we're not going to award you with money because we feel like she suffered too, and
I think she should give that $7 million back. She's like, I'm entitled to that in California.
I did also say, or they might ask, or it might be like a very specific, deliberate amount, like half of the $7 million or something she has to give to Johnny. I think it'll be something like that. I mean, but what
Do you think Johnny's going to win then?
I think that they will prevail with Johnny, but they won't award any money really. Or if it is, it's not going to be a lot. It's not going to be anywhere near 50 or 100 million on either side. Because I just think I mean, at me as a juror, I'd be like, I believe that there was moments of domestic violence on at his hands as well. I really do. I don't believe that there was none.
Is it domestic violence when it's mutual combat?
Well,
like as in like that, and if a fight happens on the street and the cops come and you're both fighting, it's mutual combat.
It also comes down to a First Amendment right, and she should be able to tell her story. And this is her story about this thing that happened in her life. That's what she wrote. She never said his name. That's really what they have to decide. They really have to decide. And I think that gets kind of scary. Like, well, what, a woman can't tell her story? It's like when all this Me Too stuff came out, it's because people were like, fuck the NDA. Like, I'm not going to protect this dick anymore or this person that sexually harassed me. I'm going to be able to tell it. And so if it gets to this place where every time you tell something that might hurt someone's reputation because you didn't file a full-blown police report, but you're like, I mean, where does it draw the line? Can I tell a story about a horrible date I went on? Well, the horrible date was with Spencer Pratt. Well, what did he do? Well, he told me, like, you know what? You're not that cute, and I wouldn't fuck you anyway. Well, after Heather told that story, Spencer Pratt lost, these endorsements. So now you sue me for telling that story, but I'm like, but it happened. You said it. It hurt my feelings. I should be able to tell. I spent the hour with you. That's my story to tell. So I just think it becomes a slippery slope of like, that's why I think this case actually is really scary and important. And then it's really bad for real domestic violence victims because we finally got to a place like in the last 30 years where we like took it seriously and realized like it's not a man's right to like hit his wife or have sex with his wife whatever he wants. There's marital rape and all that. And so now I'm like, because she has lied, we've caught her in many lies. She has lied many times. We don't know about she's lied the entire times, but she's lied about things. Will it come to a place where guys are like, oh, that bitch is trying to Amber Heard me or whatever. And it's like, that's what's scary about this whole thing.
The reason why I do believe Johnny, and the only reason he filed this, is because she connected him to sexual assault.
Yeah.
So maybe he was fine, pay the 7.5 because he hit her, she hit him.
He was like, it was an ugly relationship.
It was ugly, boom. But then she becomes the ACLU ambassador, retweeting links about being a survivor of sexual assault. And he's like, I did not sexually assault her.
Right.
This is it. Like, I'll take for him to like right now, he's more famous for this now than Pirates of the Caribbean. To go out after all he's done and make a stand now, it's probably like she crossed the line. That's the energy I would imagine it would take.
In the end, I think people that liked him before love him that much more. People that kind of forgot about him are rooting for him. She comes off awful. But for those reasons I just said previously, like, I think it's just the whole thing is just like really unfortunate and dangerous as far as First Amendment right and women and men and domestic violence. Like, it's just such a mess, And the only fun part was about the dog poo, and the rest of it's pretty sad and depressing.
Wait, I have a question.
And the squatters.
Why wouldn't you send somebody to the trial as news media and just live stream it from your YouTube channel to get all these? Because I saw this Law and Order channel I'm watching. Do they have to like get a permit to that? Because they're getting 11 million views, all this. They're probably making so much money in ad dollars.
I would think
or do you have to turn ads off for
That's a good question.
Trial?
I don't know. I mean, obviously
So
it's court.
Like, I need to catch a flight to Virginia.
Obviously it was court TV, You could watch the Court TV YouTube stream, and then I guess this Law and whatever is the other one, and then everybody grabs it. Like what I sent to you was TMZ, and they had like the highlights like in there. You could watch like 20 minutes within the article. I mean, they said it's going to be done hopefully by Friday the 27th, or they'll rest. I don't know if the jury then will take another few days to decide. But yeah, this is, but like, so basically we covered everything. I think the friends, the squatter friends, and
the sister's fascinating.
The sister's on the stand right now, and she said when they were at the other fun, it wasn't Coachella, it was called like
when they're at the
Highland.
homes,
What's it called? Where they have the Gulf
homes.
Streams. They're at some event. And she
like
said,
Hick Hill or something.
Yeah, Hicksville. And she was on a couch cuddling with another girl. They were all having fun and hanging out. And she said he could just change, like on a dime or whatever. She was drunk and went to bed. But the story was that then he was like, oh, you want my woman now? And everyone's like, whoa, Johnny. And then everyone's like, okay, forget it. The night's done. They go to their Gulfstream, Johnny and Amber. And then the next day, Whitney says she woke up and knocked on her sister's trailer, and that's where she thought it was totally destroyed because they had a horrible fight after that because he was so jealous that she was like hugging another girl. And again, I'm like, you picked a girl who's 30 years younger than you that's bisexual.
Was just married to a girl, like not like all in.
Not just like a fun threesome, on a coke-filled Vegas night. Yeah. And that was the other thing they brought up when she, there was an account where she... Taysa Van Ray was her girlfriend, Ree, and she was arrested for hitting her in the Seattle airport. She denies this. She said there was a misunderstanding. This never happened, or I had to admit to it to like end the day or whatever. There's that. Also, the girl Raquel, they asked her, tell me about this incident. Oh, well, we were getting glasses together and we were having Thanksgiving. Again, like such good friends. You have to all spend Thanksgiving together. Like, go home to your family. Okay. So they're making, and she's like, and I couldn't find the glasses. And then Amber found the glasses and kind of yelled at me and was like, you didn't look good enough. And she's like, and what happened? She goes, we started hitting each other. And I was like, what? Like, I have never in my life just touched a girlfriend. I'm not a real housewife. I don't get paid to do it. I've never I think the last time I remember laying hands on anybody was my sister. We were like 8 and 10, and we had these twin beds, and we were pushing each other. And my dad's like, hey, what the hell's going on? That is the last time I've ever put my hands on anybody. So I think that's just very bizarre that like 2 30-year-old women are fighting like you didn't look hard enough for the cups. And then there was another thing where like there was a video of her friends joking about this time that Amber like hit another girl. She definitely is comfortable hitting. She definitely is comfortably hitting. It's like, but did he hit her too?
I told you Brody and I met Amber. I had already told you.
No, you didn't tell me the story. Tell.
So when we were like 20 in a club, Brody and I go up and Brody's going to hit on Amber, and she just moved out here from Texas, and we're quizzing her. He's trying to, date her, go on a date, whatever, however Brody would like it worded.
And this is like 10 years ago or more?
Oh, no, this is...
Like 15 years
20,
ago.
She's 20 probably also.
All right.
Maybe
and is
19.
she like famous working?
No.
Okay, just a hot girl.
She just moved here from Texas.
Okay.
And she's like, I'm not going on a date with you. This is verbatim, little misquote. And he's like, huh? And she's like, I'm already dating a famous director. I'm going to be a movie star. I wouldn't dare go on a date. And Brody's response was, because she had this big mole on her arm that looked very cancerous. He's like, what you should do, I'll never forget the rest of my life, is get to a doctor and get that mole removed because that looks cancerous. And I was like, and he was serious. Brody was concerned about her skin. And that's like ingrained in my brain. And to me, I see this now. I'm like, she did it. She did it. Like, not how she probably...
Very calculating. Definitely
19, came out here. I think she was a cowgirl. I think her dad was a cowboy, she said. I could be making this part up, but
yeah,
I don't know. But so from the jump, she came out here with a mission. And then if you Google, her first relationship ended up being this famous director.
Oh,
so she wasn't kidding.
That's some juicy history scoop. I bet Brody, my boyfriend, is probably
so
thrilled that he didn't get involved.
My God. Well, she would have been like, wait, you can't make me
here's
famous.
A photo that was evidence of injuries. I don't see any injuries.
That's allergies to me. I could look like that. If dust storm hit me, that's me.
And then the lip cut, they asked Raquel, could it have been a cold sore? And she's like, I don't know.
They should have said, does she have herpes?
And there's like a tiny little mark there.
I mean, if she's gone, honestly, girl, and just smacking herself.
I also think there's a chance where, like, there's just times where you know, you do have like a bug bite or a bruise or something that just happens on yourself, and you're like, let me just take a photo of this for the archives, or like a bruise. Like there's been times where
have we talked about this
I'm
photo?
like, how did I get this bruise on my leg? I'm
Wait,
like, what if I just was like
rewind.
saving this in a file?
They haven't even got to this. These photos, the metadata on these photos is all jacked up. Somebody's messed with the metadata, so they're going to make
You mean the dates are wrong?
Like
what's
inside,
the
metadata is like the real information behind the photo that would show like the date, whatever, is like been altered, like messed with. So they're going to prove that these were not even near the dates of when she said she was like, so she probably thought she was all smart. Oh, I'll get some photos. She never thought some little hacker, little forensic investigators.
Well, okay, so I told you my prediction. What's your prediction of how this will turn out?
If I could predict anything, my life would be so different. No, I have no idea. You know, I know how.
Do you think she'll continue to work as an actress?
Yeah, I think she's so famous now. Like guys like what's his name's gonna definitely cast her. Lala's ex, our boy.
You're right, Randall.
She's gonna be in Randall's next movie, guaranteed, 100%. So I mean, like that level of clout has marketing ability for straight to streaming.
Okay, so you were mentioned today. Christine Quinn of Selling Sunset did Call Her Daddy's podcast with Alex, and they talked all about the producer that produced Selling Sunset, who also produced your show, The Hills. But you've shared here on Juicy Scoop many times about how the show was very fake and that you were on it, but that there was a lot of manipulative stuff that you were not aware of till the show came out that they did. And that's something that she said. One example that she said was, there's a moment where Heather Ray says to her, you said some awful things in an interview. You said that Chrishell cheated on her husband with Jason. And then she goes, haha, well, I did say that. And that was hilarious. And then so today, Christine said, what Heather Ray said to me really was, you, like Heather Ray really did say this in the show, but they switched the answer. So she said, you said that Jason used to have good taste in women up until now. And then Christine goes, haha, I did say that. That's hilarious. But she's like, but I never said or then doubled down and said yes about a woman cheating on her husband. She's like, I never said that. They literally took a line, they switched the editing around. We sat there.
Is what it's called.
It's called what?
Frankenbiting.
Oh, okay. And so you had that happen to you in the show.
I love she had the press screener that never went out as like her evidence.
Yeah.
To show the old version.
Right. She had the press screener of the old version, which was different than the version we saw, which then proved what I'm repeating that she said.
Yeah. No, I was cheering for this lady because I don't watch the show because I'm sure it's. However, these ladies are great, but I hate that human so much that...
You hate Adam, too.
Yeah, that he has anything that's successful, he deserves to be, in an awful place. So when I saw that, I was like, yes, this is an angel from heaven, like her... Because we got so deep in just the gutter that anything Heidi and Spencer said is, oh, they're lying, they're making this up. It's like, she's rich, she's... got everything going for her. She has no reason to take this angle that Adam DeVillo is saying that that he told her that she should fall down the stairs and fucking die, and
And he said that because she was standing up for herself and being like, I don't want to do that, and he's like, oh, you should,
So
she did do a formal complaint. Now, who do you do a complaint to?
To the network.
Okay. So
she's saying that he hasn't been allowed on set around any of the women for 2 years because of alleged incidents. And I'm sure you could find it in Google, but Heidi had witnesses to him grabbing her ass back at a photo shoot towards the end of The Hills, and we called the network. We had Heidi's security saw it. They pushed Adam away and all this. And we told Us Weekly, and all the other girls from The Hills were like, defended him and was like, we weren't even there, and we're like, Whitney, who had a spin-off with him, Elsie, who he made,
of course,
oh, Adam's the best. Adam, God knows what their relationships with Adams were at the time. I can't even comprehend, can't speculate, but they were like, anti-Me Tooing her.
Right, because when you've got something at stake.
Yeah, you do.
And it's not even though the Me Too is out, people will still.
That's what I'm saying.
They'll defend who can help them.
Exactly.
And they'll stay silent if them speaking up will hurt themselves.
Exactly.
That is Hollywood. It's still happening. It's continuing on. Everyone's out for themselves. So if this person, it can help you, but they also hurt your friend, you're like, I'm just going to be quiet and stay out of it.
So that happened. So nothing ever happened of it. He got to just, pull this off. And then when I'm seeing now this woman do it, I'm like, finally, because now people will listen to her. Unfortunately for Heidi and I, nobody cared and did anything, but she's going to take this guy down.
So would the show come back? Because now she said, I'm in talks to come back. Would the show come back and do you think it'll be less fake? Because honestly, it was pretty... Look, I watched it. I like watching the cute outfits, but it was pretty boring, and that's with fake drama. So, take out all the fake drama. I don't know. I feel like now, it's been magic revealed. I guess people don't really care. They'll still watch it. It's like a 7-year-old that pretends to believe in Santa for the attention. I don't know. I don't get it.
I've never watched the show, but based off of that ad, I'm watching it for mansions, outfits, hair and makeup. So I'm a different audience member.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's kind of why I watch it, because I know, because I knew, from interviewing her 3 years ago and just having a brain that they, obviously go into that office, shoot 3 scenes in the day of all different things. Nobody's computer is up. No one's talking. No one's, and they knock it out in a month, which they do. And if they do real estate that much or that little, a bunch of them have other opportunities. And let me tell you, I've been in real estate. It's a lot easier to do a concealer Instagram ad for makeup than it is to try to get a listing and sell it. So, what do they know? Come on.
And that's how crazy Hollywood is. Because if right now Heidi, who's getting her real estate license,
she is.
If they wanted Heidi to come in on Selling Sunset, do we hate this guy that much to not go on one of the biggest shows on Netflix? That's what's so crazy about Hollywood. But
if he's not part of the
he'll
thing,
still get a check no matter
right?
what.
But so would you do it?
That's a Heidi question. Would I do it? Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. But I'm built different.
Right. Yeah.
A great Adam DeVillo story. So this is...
How old of a guy is he right now?
50s, I'd imagine. Okay. Maybe older. He was definitely way older than us when when we were 20, he was double our age.
Yeah.
So years later, when I go back to USC, Heidi and I, this is probably 2012, Heidi and I are at Staples Center on Olympic getting school supplies, right? And I drink a lot of water. I'm going to use the restroom to pee. And I open up the stall because somebody's coming out of it. And I hadn't seen him since probably 2008 because we were full beef, way deep in the hills. We were never interacted in physical. And I opened the stall in this, on Olympic. No one's in this place. And it's Adam DeVillo coming out of the stall, and we're face to face. And he thinks, obviously, I'm there to murder him because, why am I in a stall that he's in a Staples,
Weird,
And he's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, trying to go pee. What are you talking about? And he's like, why are you in Staples? I'm like, getting school supplies. Why are you here? And he's like, I worked down the street, and this was a better bathroom or something. But it was that, I had already moved on from that level of hate I had, so I didn't have. Now I've rethought of this situation a million times how I would have liked to have handled it differently. But I think the fact that I played it off so calm that he thought it showed him I can get you anywhere type of vibe.
But you guys were he made you out to be the villains, but then you really leaned into that, and that made you more famous. You wrote the book How to Be Famous. So do you really care at this point that it was manipulated?
I have so many audio calls that I recorded, but I should have gone to a different state to do it.
Yeah.
A video, but I can't show
Virginia?
them. Yeah, I should have caught a flight, then had these calls, fly back, but I didn't know that I could never legally show this. But I have so many of these videos early on with Heidi and I just begging to not be the villains, and he would literally be like, you're not getting paid. You're not going to be on the episode. Then just don't show up. So we didn't tell the last season. That's why we kind of just quit and went full nuts because it didn't matter what we did. The last season, we didn't have pay to play. So the last, season 6, we didn't have to even show up to get our money. But all the way until then, if he didn't put us in the edit, we didn't get our fee. So I have all these calls like, we don't want to fight. We don't want a fake fight. Like, we don't fight. Like, no, that's your guy, then don't show up. Like, these calls. So, yeah, we leaned into it because, like, okay, this is it. You know, and now we're the hated. Like, once it's the ship sailed.
And what was the thing with Lauren was it that you revealed that she had like a weird looking vagina or something?
So there's two folds to this.
Okay.
No pun intended. So I supposedly was this bad guy monster when all the guys around her had this nickname for her. And it's like, I was like, you are cool with all these people. I've never even been intimate. I don't know you. And these guys all call you this, but I'm this awful person, yet you stand by all these. So I didn't articulate it well enough, obviously, but the intention was like, these are your boys that you film, like, you hate Heidi to be with me, and yet you're cool with these guys that you knowingly know this is what they call you or whatever. Yeah. So that was the first stage. But then and that wasn't even, because it got deleted so fast and it was like old internet. But the second stage was Jason, who is very been clear about, you know, what level of addict he was and crazy and things he was saying and doing. And you just search TMZ. He had whatever he had. And TMZ found out he was shopping this tape. I hate even talking about this because maybe I'm like, oh, Spencer, but it's like, this is a fact. This is why it went. So this is history. Sorry, guys. So he was shopping this. And then Perez, who I'm always texting with and I'm getting all the scoops, hits me up. And you can even check TMZ's dates of them getting this information. It's still like, I think on Google that this was him. So Perez calls me. He's like, is this true? The only reason I knew, Heidi did not tell me. I know Heidi is in the other room talking to Lauren, and it's like, I'm not dumb. And they're like, oh, we need to get over there, and I'm seeing what's on TMZ. So I'm like, yeah, Perez, this is true, because I'm not defending anything for LC. Right. So LC has a powwow. LC's parents and LC have a powwow with Jason's parents because they're all friends. They then decide, we're putting this on Spencer. And then they obviously talk to Adam. And then they're like, Spencer, you know what you did. I didn't do it. Oh. It's like that, and that's why Heidi's like, what did he do? He didn't do this. Like, this is Jason did this. Like, Heidi was trying to get this back with Lauren, was ready to like jump in an apartment window and like get the tape. Like, Heidi was a good friend. All I did was say what was already happening to Perez. It's not even, I didn't even scoop it. Like, I was just, this is happening. This is true. Like, so it was but I was a scapegoat. And then now they're paying me $110,000 an episode. And they're like, will you apologize to Lauren on the phone? It's not Lauren, it's a producer, Sean Travis. I'm like, $110,000, give me the phone. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, at that point, like, let me add $110,000 to what's already, so.
The rich life.
I would have done it all again, the same, but I probably would have gone even more turned up.
Well, I feel like that's why she plays into it. She's like, it's just a show. And even I had Davina on, and after we were done filming the episode here, she's like, she has reached out and texted me a bunch, but she hurt me so much and she talked so much shit about me, meaning Christine, but now I'm like, well, now she's revealed, like, I played the villain and I did all these awful things, but I was always like, hey, if you're mad at me, text me after because this is just a show. So now I'm kind of wondering if, like, Davina might be like, well, I guess she wasn't that bad. But then again, like, is she really a good friend? Like, if you're going to be on the show together, fine. But, like, you're playing, I get it. It's, like, all fake. But what Christine was saying is, I know it's all fake. I played the villain. The other girls were too dumb to know that it was fake and actually got their feelings hurt by my actions.
It's the reverse. The Hills cast all knew it was so fake, went along with us going down, and like, oh, they're like, we're getting forced into this. If we don't do this, that's all we got. How Lauren runs this show, which how I would have done it again is I would have been so much more calculated. The problem is I had too much emotion in it because I still was like, I was getting played. I knew it, but it's like I just should have smart advice. I should have hired my own writers.
Yeah.
Like had a team of like, okay, this is how they want you to be played. Like, how you going to, So it was just like a reckless play along with it.
Right. And back then, definitely, people definitely took everything
so
at face value.
And you had no social media to counter the narrative,
Okay, so now I want to explain what is going on with these two girls, okay? Here we go. There's these two girls. There's Colleen Rooney, and the other one is Rebecca Vardy, okay?
Oh, they're British Premier League wives.
Yes, so this is Rebecca, right? This is Rebecca in the photo, and she's married to her husband, Jamie. He's like 35. Anyway, so they're like kind of like reality stars in England, and they're both married to soccer stars. And Colleen's husband, this guy Wayne, they've had their own issues in the past. He got caught with drunk driving with a girl. He's, had some bad behavior, drunken behavior at an airport or something. He's no longer a football player. But Colleen and Rebecca were like friends, kind of frenemies, kind of whatever. But they were all in the same circles. And oftentimes Rebecca would like want to get close to Colleen and be Colleen's friend and everything. So Colleen was sort of suspicious. And there was a time that they were at this like Euro 2016 where even someone said like, could Rebecca like stop? Like she's like, running around and like sharing too much about this thing and like really trying to make herself more famous. So Colleen had a private Instagram account that only like Rebecca and a few people would follow her. And she put some personal stories on there and they were getting leaked out to the Sun. So she's like, you know what? I'm going to block everybody from looking at my stories except for one person, Rebecca. And then she put a couple fake stories on there that her basement flooded, that she and the husband were going to Mexico for a gender selection, and like something else.
She's returning to reality TV.
Oh, and she's returning to reality TV. And all of a sudden, because Colleen's like a pretty famous person, it gets in the Sun. And she's like, so now she goes on social media and she reveals her plan and how she trapped and caught Rebecca.
I love
and
this.
Rebecca goes, oh my God, Colleen, I never did this. I wish you would have called me and told me, that you thought this was happening. Maybe someone had my password. I don't know. I didn't do this. She goes, maybe it's my agent. Caroline Watt was the agent. And they're like, well, where's the phone? Like to prove it. And she's like, oh, the phone, I flew it into the North Sea, or a wave crashed me. So it's kind of like she's sort of taking the fall for Rebecca, but we don't really know. But by putting it out there, Rebecca feels it hurt her reputation so much as like this thirsty bitch and she's like, I didn't have to sell stories and all this. So she is now suing Colleen for libel.
I bet it was the agent.
I think it was the agent too. I think it was the agent who was like had some connection or like, okay, I'll give you some stuff, son. You help my clients or whatever get in the paper. Like there was something, and it was like, because the stories weren't even juicy. They didn't make Colleen look bad. They didn't help Rebecca in any way. Nobody needs a couple $100. But
whoa. PrattDaddy.com. Please shop now. People need a couple $100.
Yeah, here are the girls. Wait, this is Rebecca. She's very pretty.
Oh, no,
her husband's pretty hot. Jamie and Rebecca. Jamie's pretty hot, and then this is Colleen. So they're both pretty brunettes. So I think there might have been some competition frenemy situation going on, but I believe I don't know why she would do it, but it's all coming out, so it might be proven that she did. But I mean.
Is this our next trial we got to look forward to?
I don't think as many people care about it. In the UK, it's a big deal. But, you know how these things work. Like, when people say you sold stories, because, Chelsea Handler went on Howard Stern and said, I sold stories about her. And it was really career debilitating. People wanted to, not have me work with them, be hired, nothing. Everything was dead for a couple of years. That's why I had to work so hard on Juicy Scoop. But when it happened, and I was like, this didn't happen. I'm like, there's no articles to prove that she wasn't
Why
even
didn't you sue her for defamation?
People mentioned it at the time. And at the time, I think I was smart enough to know, because I don't think this is smart to go sue someone. Like, what are we going to do? It's just going to look bad. And there's, no, well, I never thought to, no, I don't.
She can't prove that you did it, so it cost you 2 years of work. And that's
for me, it
that could have been $20 million.
For me, it was like, but I get why Johnny's suing, and I get why this girl's suing, because at the time, and even now, like, there was some podcast that's like, was talking about the Chelsea, they're like, I believe this, because remember, Heather sold stories about Chelsea. Like, it's still in people's heads from 8 years ago, or 7 years ago, the misinformation. And it still like frustrates me. Like I DM'd the person and I'm like, just so you know, this never happened. It never happened, never happened, never happened. And I don't know why she lied and I don't know why she said it. And it really like hurt me a lot, but whatever. I know what it involves to like sue someone and to prove defaming. I would have to prove that I really lost a major job. I'd have to prove that, like, I was literally, just like the Johnny Depp. Like, I would have to,
pirates.
Yes, I would have to prove that, like, I was just about to be on The View. This story came out, and then they were like, bye. And if without something like that, it's honestly not worth it to go after someone saying a misinformation about you. But when with your tabloid connections, like, would you leak stories about people? Like what do you think of all this? What do you think of the story?
I would say every single thing you've ever read at one time I leaked about us or made up and sold, or any scoop I had I sold, any story, any photos. It was such a great business. It's so sad that do you see People magazine may not even go to print anymore?
No. I just bought the first one in like a year because I was in it. They mentioned me as one of the guests at Ross's wedding, so I bought it. And it was very thin.
It's very sad. So, this 100%, this is the agent, because you do build those relationships and, and there's been times where, there's untrue stuff that's like people have tried, not negative, but like, for instance, with The Hills being, this new season. They were trying to say that there wasn't a new season because, the Spencer and they were holding out for all this money, and usually that would get run. Right. But they hit me up and they know, like, I tell the truth, and I would tell them, I was like, that's not true. I'll take whatever they're offering. I'll go less money to be on, like, absolutely false. In that relationship, they're like, okay, we'll kill that story, where somebody was trying to pump that and make me look bad or whatever. Yeah. So those relationships by selling stuff and giving, stories do create. But, the game's changed so much now that there aren't necessarily tabloids anymore,
Todd Christley, he is facing, oh my God, like 30 years.
Oh my God. It's so sad because Heidi and I watched like the first 3 seasons. We didn't miss an episode. Like, we loved this family.
You loved it. The show is Todd Christley Knows Best. It's a very scripted show, but they all play themselves, and they're this cute family. And I mean, the biggest thing about this when you watch it is that he's married to a woman, but by anybody except maybe an alien that would come on this earth, if they were to meet him at a grocery store, would assume he was a happily out gay man. But there's never been one story about a relationship that a guy's like, I saw him at a gay bar. There's nothing. But he acts like a very happy West Hollywood man. Okay?
Agreed.
And so it's kind of just fascinating to watch. And he has a really fun personality, and the kids are all funny. So he's got this book, then he's got this show, then he's got Growing Up Christley, and then he's got a new show coming out on E! Called Love Limo, where in 20 minutes he helps 2 people get to know everything they need to know about each other. Sounds like kind of a fun idea. But basically, there's so many things. He took $30 million out in loans from small banks with using kind of false records. And then he filed bankruptcy in 2012, erasing the $20 million. So
Didn't
he
his
basically took all that money.
daughter kind of be like the main narc to the IRS to like
So
get this going?
There was this man that so his people say everything that you have him for, which is like not paying taxes and these loans, and also she tried to rent a house and used false credit reports and stuff, and then didn't pay the rent in California. All of this is because they put all their trust in this guy, Mark Braddock. And he's the one who defrauded them. And so they realized, you're doing all this shady stuff. You're fired. So they fire him. And then, according to them, he then goes to the IRS and all these, and the FBI and everything. And he goes, look, this is all the shady stuff they did. And yes, I was part of it because they made me do it. So give me immunity and I'll share everything with you. And so their defense is like, we were sucked into this shady guy. We gave him, he wanted to be me. We trusted him. I was just this, he says, I had no education. I was just flipping houses one at a time. And then got this guy, got, these shows, opened these, production companies in which we could put this money, and we've done nothing wrong. The only person that's guilty is this guy, and it's all on trial. And the daughter that they're estranged from, I guess, was apparently helping too with getting the information. But it's very rare that that the government goes after you unless they have a lot of evidence, and it's possible 30 years is what Reality Blurb is saying. So it's a lot.
I just hope they follow it on the show.
I don't think they will, because it's like a cute show about like making apple pie and like hanging out. Teresa Giudice, are you up on Real Housewives of New Jersey at all?
Heidi plays it. I'm in the room.
So she's engaged to this guy.
Wait, real quick. What were they doing with that dildo on that boat, all taking shots? Did you watch that?
Yes.
Oh, it was so straight. Like, I've had guy friends all my life. And Heidi's looking at me like, yo. Like,
the guys are very thirsty. They've gone on tour together and everything, and it's all about the house husbands of New Jersey.
Like, look how wild we are.
And so they always get really drunk. They do all these shots, and they brought a dildo, and they made them take shots that would go through. They would put the dick where a guy's dick is, the dildo, and then
jamming
they were
in each other's mouths. Like, I was like, how is this on television?
Also, they were like joking the other day, like how much, they're like, who watches so much porn? And Joe, her brother Joe is like, I watch porn driving home, and I'm like, I don't think that's cute. Like, you have a daughter and two sons. Why are you trying? And porn is gross. I know
you should
people
be looking
watch
at the road.
But also, I know people watch it. But like, you're still watching like people that you don't know like do intimate shit. Like, I don't know. Like, keep that to yourself. No, I just thought it was really gross. Thing,
I was like, yo, this is way too weird for me. And I've seen a lot of weird stuff. So, but it's like, and they're all like just aggressively jamming that in each other's mouth.
And this guy. So yeah,
I saw that episode.
So this was all about a lot about Louis. Louis was this guy. He's divorced. He's had 2 ex-fiancées that said he was an awful boyfriend. So people were suspicious of him. The whole season was about that. He came off very well last night at part 3 of the reunion. He's like, this has been awful, but I have been fired from my job.
From being on the show.
So she's really pissed because it's like, this is who she's going to marry. So she's always blaming this other girl, Margaret, who kind of, she believes, brought up all the negative stuff that the exes had said about him. But he came off pretty nice, and he was like, please be calm, Teresa. And Teresa came off awful. I have said this before, I'm going to say it again. I would not be surprised if in the end he breaks up with her. I feel like he might be realizing, like, I don't know that I want to do this for 30 years till I die.
And her ex is still in Italy.
He's in Italy, yeah. He has to live in Italy forever.
And why didn't they do a show of him living in Italy?
I mean, he's like thin now. I don't think it's going to be that great. Like, it's just not the same dynamic. You know what I mean?
Well,
and like, why follow him?
New Housewives of Italy.
Come on.
Just stretch.
That's an awful idea. This is pretty good. This is on tonight, so you guys will have watched it while you're listening to it, but it's this episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And Lisa Rinna is going after Sutton because Sutton said, I invited Lisa and Harry Hamlin as my guest to the Elton John after Oscar big charity event. And she never said thank you, which was like not saying thank you was this dumb little storyline they had. So in this clip that I just saw from Bravo Snark, who obviously got this, Snark side, who got this clip somehow, she's like, Lisa Rinna's like, Sutton, you know that's not true. You canceled the table. You know it. And she's like, I also know what slander means. And then Erica Jane is like, what? You're trying to say you're going to sue for slander? Really, Sutton? And then Sutton brings out the receipt of her email exchange with the people in which they said, should we send the materials to Harry Hamlin and Lisa Rinna to buy their tickets, to register those tickets? And Sutton goes, no, they'll be my guest. Here's my credit card. And then they said, okay, we billed you for $11,000 and you're all set. So she did buy the tickets for them. And Lisa has been saying for months that Sutton is lying.
I love receipts.
God.
Receipts are so powerful.
I still also want to say I'm wearing Lisa Rinna's lip stuff and I still love it. But Lisa, I don't know.
Where does she sell it, on QVC?
Just like Lisa Rinna Beauty. Rinna Beauty. But I mean, I don't know, Rinna.
Now you feel like lying lips?
I just think bring Elton John to the reunion. That'd be great. Real Housewives of Miami, they're getting divorced.
Oh, so I know. Ready for this?
Yes, I am ready for
scoop.
it. Doodle-doodle-doodle. We should have like an inside scoop like button
so
or something.
The girl that he's dating now, Tatiana.
I got her right here.
Boom. She's from Austria. She filmed on the hills with us. She was like Brody's, they edited all around her. They didn't use it. She was amazing.
Why didn't they use her?
She was like Brody's new love interest.
Why didn't they use her?
God knows. And she was amazing. And she's parties and is very fun and great for TV.
How old is she?
Maybe 20. I don't want to. She could be mad if I said.
She's gorgeous.
So So the story I read that they
Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny was with her in a restaurant, and his ex came and started yelling in Katiana's face, which I wish I had been there because Katiana with her accent would have been like. I would have just been so. He
said we had already broken up. We already had decided to live separate lives.
I know we were going to.
When I started to date,
maybe like, do you have any comment on this? I mean, I could get a comment.
Oh, you have a you can text her. Text her right now. Yeah. Also, Real Housewives of OC. Do you watch this show? A little
Not
bit.
Lately.
So she was just a one-hit wonder. I don't think she's coming back, especially now that she's getting divorced. But she was a doctor of like plastic surgery, not a full plastic surgeon, but like injectables and stuff. Anyway, she had
dermatologist.
She had this husband named Ryan. They had were always not getting along. They had nothing in common, so they broke up. So good for them. I mean, that had to happen. So Kim is on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and the photos, she looks gorgeous and really natural.
Her dive. I was so impressed with her dive.
Oh yeah, here's the dive.
Solid, there's form.
And she's wearing a nude suit, so she looks naked. But then she has to wear these gloves. Like, what is up with the gloves? Someone's like, maybe her psoriasis is really acting up. I'm like, but there's nothing that you can't Photoshop. But she's obsessed with gloves.
Oh, you know what?
Like, who has swimming gloves?
They're probably Skims. Because to work out, they have all these things. Like, that could help her tennis elbow. So maybe she's marketing
they're Skims gloves. Gloves.
No, they're not.
Gloves.
Are they on her hands or just her?
No, so they go all the way up to the arm. They're like long gloves. Have you heard of swimming gloves?
No.
What the hell?
Well, maybe they have little, things like fins. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's fashion.
Anyway, good for her. She looks
Pete
pretty.
probably picked them up.
That was always the only time I ever looked at Sports Illustrated.
What, to see who the cover was?
Because my dad would get it. Yeah, I love the bathing suit issue. I just loved looking at the bathing suits.
I had a few of those issues too.
But I never cared about anything else. Also,
Sierra was not getting enough love. I hate how they do 3 covers now.
They are now? Oh, then you have to pick who you like the most?
Yeah, Sierra's was incredible.
So she the same month right now?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's Sierra, Kim, and who's the third?
A transgender girl.
No,
Just a different size, different style body.
Okay, all right.
It's a nice, it's a healthy body.
Oh, you told me The Hills is coming back.
Oh, it is a very healthy body. She's on my old eating plan.
Yes.
No, The Hills is breaking news today. The Hills is coming back. Let me not misquote. Let's not misquote the announcement here. MTV is bringing back one of its most popular reality franchises, The Hills, with a new incarnation. The Paramount Network has given a series order to The Hills Next Gen from MTV Entertainment Studios. The Hills Next Gen will feature a brand new cast that is expected to be more diverse than the original. The series will follow a close group of 20-something friends and aspiring entrepreneurs who are coming of age in a very different LA. They will navigate realities of race, class, identity, addiction, family drama, along with the thrills of romance and becoming self-made amidst the exclusive enclave of the Hills in Malibu. What hills are in Malibu?
I don't know.
I don't know. But I'm not shitting it because I want to be the new after show host. So I'm angling. I think it's the best idea. Paramount Plus environment. I'm so excited.
Yes.
So, but yeah.
Julia
Malibu
Fox
Hills.
went shopping. Why did they X this out?
I don't know, because it was like Calvin Klein set.
Oh, but anyway, here's Julia Fox. She just is such a thirsty bitch. She's out at pavilions, and she wore it's just a bra and
I couldn't
underwear.
believe she didn't go to Erewhon.
I know. She went to bra and underwear, and then she has this long jean jacket, jean boots, and a pair of jeans that she made into a purse.
I feel this sad moment. You know, it's
I want to show you some other awful
hopefully
fashions.
she's getting paid by...
What do you think of this?
Well, I'm a huge Fashion Nova fan because Heidi was towards the end of The Hills. We were saving money, and Fashion Nova has just deals like this.
Yeah.
This is not a sponsored ad.
It's a $12 one-piece bathing suit.
The problem with these outfits, what we've learned from these $12, you get a solid 1 hour with them.
Before they fall
start
apart.
falling apart. So.
How do you feel about the under-tit movement? This is a bikini that actually is just featuring the under-tit.
You know, I think it's great. It's awesome.
It looks like two little water balloons.
Awesome
kind of.
tan lines. No, I mean, the bikinis now, you have to get so creative because it's such a competitive market.
Well, now the butt crack. It's now about butt cleavage. It's all over the runway. Dresses that feature strong butt cleavage.
You know, that's not for me, but...
Would you buy these distressed sneakers?
Balenciagas?
Yeah.
There's a couple I have distressed, like 4 pairs of distressed Gucci's.
They're $18.50.
I don't have that budget. Go to prattdaddy.com so I can.
Okay.
I just don't like... I like the idea if I was that rich to buy them because you're just trolling at that point.
Right.
So I would definitely buy them if I was that rich just to wear to the Polo Lounge for them to be like, you can't wear those in there. So I could say, these are Balenciaga.
Netflix just announced they're going to do a documentary about J-Lo. It's just one of those documentaries that's just about like, follow me around, see how hard I work out. I'm a good mom. I'm nice to my gardener, and I've got people going. And God, I don't know how we're going to do this spin. And I'm just like, listen, I'll probably watch it because I love her, and I just think she's so gorgeous. But I'm like, I just think there's such an ego about these kind of docs.
If Ben Affleck is in the trailer,
he's in it.
Oh, then it's a hit.
We're watching it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, her ex, Mark Anthony, is engaged. He's 53. He's engaged.
Miss Universe from Paraguay.
She's 23. But here's my connection to this.
In the Latin, where that's.
She's adorable, though.
She's a big star.
But he was. So there was a boy in my son's class, back in elementary school. Oh. No, that was his first wife. He was his mom. And she was Miss Puerto Rico and Miss Universe. And now the boys are like in their 20s. And now he's marrying a 23-year-old. Then he married J-Lo. Then he married J-Lo. Then he married this other model. So this is wife number 4.
So David Foster took Brody and I to a private event before Miss Universe.
Yeah.
Because he, I don't know if he was friends with Trump. I don't know if maybe Trump owned it at that time. This is a long, long time ago. We were probably 20, 21. And we went to this house, and it was only elder men. and Brody and I. And so we were trying to like spit game to these.
So the young girls.
All the Miss Universe girls.
All the Miss Universe girls, old men, and then just you and Brody.
And we came, and so we thought we were like, we got this, you know.
Like kid in a candy
and they
store.
were just like only about the older men.
Oh, really?
So we didn't even have, you know, we were Hail Marrying it.
And was Mark Anthony there?
I wouldn't have known, but that's my point. I think this is I think the Miss Universe is kind of like a dating, pool. I
just think about the Mark Anthony, J-Lo kids. Like, they have been through a lot. They had a stepmom that he broke up with after J-Lo. She had a couple boyfriends. She had Casper, then she had A-Rod, obviously. Now she's back with Ben.
You know, I'm not too worried about those kids.
You're not worried because they're so rich. You think everything's about money.
Well, I just feel like if we're going to worry about kids.
I'm not worried about kids. You're right. You're right. You're not the kids to worry about.
I get it.
I'm not worried about that. I'm just saying, you know what? They will be great guests on Juicy Scoop in like 10 years.
Yeah, I think.
When they just tell the stories of that's what it is. Our parents are super successful. People fall in love with them. They've had multiple life partners. Who cares?
I think they're probably doing great.
All right. Everybody, how can you get your crystals?
We need to do a Juicy Scoop code.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
can't we just tell it what it can you work?
We'll do 15% off. That's
nice.
5 more than the email letter would get you.
Okay.
PrattDaddy.com. I'm gonna have to add this to my, the back end here. What are we gonna go? Scoopers or just Juicy Scoop?
I think Juicy. Just Juicy.
Easy.
Yeah. Juicy is my code for most of my stuff. So
Juicy will get you 15% off. PrattDaddy.com.
Love it.
Thank you so much. Life. And I will continue trying to get in the top 10 like my mentors, Justin
and Chris. You're so cute. I love your mom.
Scary funny, those two.
Love to Heidi and Gunner. Love you.
Thank you for all the Juicy Scoopers. They're the best commenters.
I know.
They're like a solid comment crew. Okay, yeah.
I love it. Thanks. Bye.